In a quiet world not unlike our own, a child is born into love and loss. As a grieving father clings to a fading memory, a final gift from the past begins to stir. In the stillness of night, a thread is pulled, unraveling a hidden realm where magic is stitched into every soul. And where a living toy may be the key to saving it all. The child arrived on a stormlit night, and the world grew quieter. Elior did not wake. Not to hear the baby's cry. Not to see the tears in Elior's eyes. He held his son in one arm. And the last gift she ever touched in the other. A strange toy, stitched with care, soft with memory, part cat, part bear. She named it before she let go. A name whispered like a final thread. Mio. 1 week passed, quiet as breath. The child slept. The storm had gone. But not all things rest when grief settles. Elior lived between the hours, feeding, holding, wondering if she would have done it better. Sometimes he spoke aloud. Not expecting answers. Mio, he murmured once. Was that really its name? That night, something answered. A flicker. A soundless pulse of light. Mio blinked. The runes stitched across its back shimmered like threads caught in moonlight. Then it moved. Just enough to silence everything else. The toy stepped forward and spoke, not like a machine, not like magic, but like memory being unspooled. He's in danger, it said. They're coming. The threads are breaking. The night bent unnaturally. The glow from Mio's eyes deepened, casting shadows that twisted along the walls. Elior leaned over the crib, listening to his son's quiet breathing. Until the air grew still, too still. Then came the cold. A shape began to form in the dark, not with footsteps, but with the sound of threads snapping in the silence. It wore no face. It needed none. It reached for the child. No. Elior moved, but the space around him held tight, as if time itself had been caught in a loop of thread. Mio leapt, a burst of violet runes crackling from its paws, but the force struck back, and the toy hit the ground, smoking. The baby rose into the air. Blanket glowing. Runes unraveling. And then, the tear. A rift opened behind the figure, not torn like paper, but pulled apart like fabric at the seams. Golden thread spun outward. The symbols of another world beckoned. With no sound at all, the figure vanished inside it, and the baby was gone. Elior collapsed to the floor, reaching into empty air, heart still racing long after silence returned. Then Mio stood, ragged but firm, and said the words that pulled him forward, "We have to follow. There's no time." The world was unraveling. Walls stretched thin like cloth pulled too far, furniture floated weightless, and light shimmered in spirals of thread and gold. The crib was empty. The air, still electric. Mio turned, eyes blazing violet. "There's no time," he said. That world is not meant for him alone. Elior knelt on the floor, his chest hollow where his son had been. His fingers brushed the silver locket at his neck, the last thing she had given him. He stood slowly, his breath trembling like thread about to snap. "Elior. Guide me," he whispered. And then, he leapt. Into the light. Into the stitchwork of a world not his own. Into the tangle of fate that waited beyond the portal. They fell, but not fast, as if the world below were catching them in woven hands. The sky was layered cloth, stitched with light. The stars shimmered like buttons sewn into velvet. Beneath them, patchwork islands floated gently, tethered to nothing but magic. Mio twisted midair, his tiny paws guiding the fall. Elior tumbled behind, coat flaring like a torn sail. The portal behind them stitched shut with a hum. And Earth was gone. They landed in silence, in a field of flowers made of buttons and felt, their stems swaying as if alive. Elior pressed his hand to the soft ground, breathless. "Where are we?" he whispered. Mio stood, eyes scanning the stitched hills. "The thread realm," he said. "Where stories are sewn, and unravel." Shapes moved at the edges, stuffed knights with buttoned shields, robed mages with patchwork cloaks. They watched but did not speak. The path ahead shimmered faintly, woven from glowing thread. Mio pointed forward. He's not far. The path knows where to lead us. Elior took his first step into a world made not of earth and stone, but of memory and magic. The path narrowed where the threadlight met the trees. But these were not trees of bark and branch, they were yarn, twine, knotted and looped, towering into a stitched sky. Glowing moss lit the roots, and orbs of thread hovered like fireflies. Elior walked carefully, each footstep softer than the last. Mio's ears twitched. Something was near. From behind the yarnwood, two button eyes blinked. A tiny scout, rabbit-like, with stitched feet and a satchel full of glowing spools. Its thread compass pulsed in warning. Then it vanished. "Did you see?" Elior whispered. Mio didn't answer. His stance shifted. Alert. Then, far ahead, the sound of a horn. Low. Hollow. Woven with magic. The forest was calling. They reached the edge of the known, where land gave way to thread and sky. Below them, the world unfolded like fabric unrolled from a loom of stars. Islands floated. Rivers shimmered. Towers rose from quilts of memory. Mio stood silent, but his runes pulsed like a heartbeat. Elior narrowed his eyes toward the horizon, where a single thread of gold stitched its way through the sky. Somewhere beyond it, was his sun. And so, the first thread has been cast. A world begins to unravel, and a father's journey begins with a single step into the unknown. Thank you for stitching this chapter with us. Sparkles, subscribe to Z Story for more enchanted adventures. And we'll see you in the next episode. Sparkles.